I'm going to be doing another painting today. This is going to be Henry Bolet from Nancy Drew, Legend of the Crystal Skull. It is him wrestling an alligator in order to get the crystal skull. Because if you've played the game, you know that the alligator eats the crystal skull at the end. So Henry is going to wrestle the alligator and pull the crystal skull out of the alligator's mouth. I thought that would be a funny idea for a painting, so I'm painting it. So it looks like crocodiles are really easy. Crocodiles slash alligators are kind of easy to paint because it's going to be dark here. This is basically all going to be one color. And then it gets sort of lighter down here, and you can barely see the leg, but that's where the leg would go. It's a lot lighter over here, and then there's the other leg. So really, the scales are not evenly matched, so that makes it really easy to paint. It would be really hard to draw like a row of identical squares, but in real life they're not identical, so I get to make them wherever I want and it will look perfect. Also, they have like spikes. They're like dragons or something like that. Henry Bolet, so if you've seen the game, he has just a big shirt, just really giant. It's just really long collar, but it's a blue shirt. And then I decided to have him face this direction so I could show off his tattoo. And he's also got, I'm showing his fingernails because his fingernails are painted. I believe this one is red. And this arm is super easy. Yeah, I know I messed up with my painting here. Please ignore that. Hopefully it won't come through for the painting, but his arm is covered with a black thing here. So I just paint that all black and then this all black. And I'm good. That's good. Crystal Skull is going to be a little hard to do because it's crystal, so it's these darker areas I'm just going to paint them a little bit darker and hope it turns out okay. As for his head, I'm not exactly sure how to do it, but he seems to have one hair thing there and then one bang, I think that's what it's called there. And then the rest of his hair just kind of goes back. And his skin should be relatively easy because he's really pale. So I'll just mix skin color with white. Just make it very pale like that. I tried to draw his mouth so he's smiling in triumph, but it just looks like he's evil or angry. And okay, well, I'll see how that works. And of course I need to draw lines on the bottom of his face because he has lots of eyeshadow. So this is probably going to be a dark painting, and then I'm going to need to use a lot of black. I mean, black here, black there, black all over here, maybe a little bit on the edges as well. Looking relatively good so far. I'm going to mix a darker shade here just to get the top. That way it's not just all one color. And I tried to do an outline for the alligator's mouth and his other leg, so hopefully it will look good. There we go. So the dark green I had wasn't dark enough, it wasn't really coming out. So I mixed in a little bit of black, and now we've got a nice glossy sheen to our alligator. And it's looking pretty good so far. It looks a lot better than it did when it was just all one color, right? Here is the alligator's belly. I tried mixing light green with yellow, but it just came out green. It was not an ideal mixture. I'm gonna touch up the hand there, so we don't have big white spots around his fingers. I would have redone the shade, but I'm kind of trying to do this very quickly. I want to draw the scales while this part of the painting is still wet. That way it will blend well. So that's going to be my next step. I'm going to be mixing up my two colors to make scales. So here we go. I mixed the two colors. So the light color for the mouth was used over here to make the scales on the back, and the dark colors for the back were used to make the scales on the mouth. And I think it turned out relatively good. I kind of like this area over here on the left where the paint was really dry, as opposed to this area on the right. You can kind of see it's still a little bit wet. So I guess I prefer mixing with dry paints as opposed to wet paints. But overall, looks pretty good. All I need to do is make the spikes on the alligator's back, and then I'll just move on to the rest of the painting. I'll move on to Henry. It turns out making back scales is super easy. It's just triangles. you just make a triangle over and over and over again. And I did a little line connecting all the triangles just to give some more definition to the back, so it's clear that's where the alligator ends and the background of the painting begins. I also did a little bit over here on the mouth, just highlighting it, because I forgot to do teeth. So once this paint is dry, I'm going to do some white teeth on an alligator. It's going to be the same thing. I'm just going to be drawing triangles that are slightly curved. It's not straight triangles, so it looks like a right angle triangle, but it's got a little bit of curve to it. So that's how you do back scales, and that's how you do teeth. That's how you make them look more realistic. So here's the skin. I tried mixing portrait pink with light yellow. It didn't really work. He is not as pale as I thought he would be, probably because I got the paint on my fingers more so than the actual portrait. After that, I tried to do like a two-tone thing. Like I tried to mix a little bit of black, just a little bit of black to make it a touch darker, so I could add some shading over here and make it a little darker there, right? But it did not work. Again, my mixing was bad, so the black basically turned the skin into gray. That looks like gray, grayish brown. So I just decided to make the best of it, do outlines for the skin, make little fingers here. Yep, and then just outlines for the skin over here and there. Kind of give the eyebrows and nose. I actually kind of like having the eyebrows and the nose like that, actually. That looks really good. So it was a happy little accident. And for other accidents, like, oh my gosh, his finger's not that wide, well, I'll paint that over whenever I get to the crystal skull. Same thing with other accidents, like here, like, oh, maybe I messed up on his hair. Well, that's okay. I'll paint over his hair so it's all black. Yeah, no, his hair does not end up like this. It did not get chopped off, you know, in the middle. Here is the shirt. I was originally going to go with light blue, but the toddler came in and wanted to help, so I said, what shade of blue should I pick? And she picked violet. This is actually light violet. I did up and down strokes here, and left and right strokes here, simply because this is a sleeve. I figured that would make it interesting. And because the outlines worked so well up here, I tried doing magenta outlines here. I just mixed magenta with the light violet. It did not work out well, actually. So I ended up doing the entire collar in this color just to make it less obvious, just to make it look less terrible. It looks okay here, and then I did it matching like that. I used way too much dark magenta, so now he's wearing dark magenta pants. It sort of looks like he's wearing hot pink, but no, that's supposed to be magenta. And I did the top part of the painting in magenta, because like I said, I had a lot of it left over, so now I've got an interesting reddish sky over our painting. Okay, I did his mouth, also did his hair. There must be some sort of trick to this that I'm not seeing, because, you know, I try to fill in this entire area with black, and you see there are white spots there. There are white spots there. You know, I fill it in with black, and then I cover it and cover it and cover it again, and there still seem to be white spots. So I don't know if it's a problem with the canvas or if I'm just painting wrong, but anyway, there's his mouth. It might not be obvious. We've got two different colors. The inside of his mouth is slightly darker. I decided against putting lines between his teeth because that would make it look way more creepy. And then there's his other arm. And, of course, his beautiful, beautiful fingernails. Oh, I forgot to do his tattoo. We don't get a good look at his tattoo in the game, so it can basically be whatever you want it to be. I think it looks like a snake. I just did a quick snake-like thing in blue. So the skull is yellow in the game, and painting it yellow covers up nothing. Nothing is covered up. Thank you, painting. So I'm going to try to mix it with a sort of silvery to give it a little crystal edge. So here's the final version of the skull. I painted over the yellow with bronze, so that's yellow with bronze on top of it. They blend together pretty well. And then I used an off-white mixed with the bronze in order to get the eye holes and the mouth holes. Okay, here's the final version of the painting. I did some light colors for the background because I thought it would contrast well with the rest of the painting, which is kind of dark. Yellow. Like, yellow hates me. I had to use a ton of yellow, and it barely covers anything, and it doesn't cover the pencil marks either. So maybe I'm just doing something wrong. If anybody knows what you're supposed to do with yellows, let me know. And yeah, I think that's basically it. That is Henry Bolet wrestling an alligator in order to get the crystal skull. So good for Henry.